All right, welcome to today's Seven Figures Club podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, entrepreneur, CEO, and founder Michael Ealy of Nassau Investments has developed Nassau Investments into one of the key development firms in the Cincinnati area. Over 20 years, 2 decades worth of experience, Mr. Ealy has applied his knowledge of property and asset management to negotiate not dozens, but hundreds of successful real estate transactions. His strength is in identifying the right projects, developing a clear vision, and putting it together. And we just caught him on the road here. He was just making some bids for some amazing deals out there. Michael, welcome to the show.
What's up, brother? How you been, man? Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate you bringing me on, man, sharing your platform.
Michael, we're just excited to learn your story, and certainly from some of your stories. And one of the stories that you are kind of famous for in the real estate investment world is where you took this 48-unit building and you acquire it, and it only has 8 units that are actually rented out. And so you've got 40 of the 48 units that you got to get rented out and do it fast. Tell us what you did and how you had such amazing success with this project.
And you know, the funny thing is, I wasn't trying to keep that building. We were like, man, let's wholesale this thing and make $200-300 grand. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Good money.
We could have, like, I think we got it all in for like, well, we bought it for like 220, and we knew we could flip it for 354 something right away. And we just kind of started really getting into bigger units. And my partner was like, Nate, he was like, man, we can manage this. I was like, you think so? He was like, yeah, I'm doing it. And you did it. And I was like, I guess we can. And so we called one of our investors. We said we needed to put like 5 a door in it. And it was actually like 4 door. My investor gave us the $200,225 to purchase it. And he gave us $200,000 to renovate it. So we went to work. And so the deal was this. I was like, Nate picked this poison. He's like, Nate said, I'm going to be responsible for getting the construction done. You get this building leased up. I said, deal. And so thinking out of the box, and I kind of did this before, I was like, let me see how I can get this rented on one swoop. So I called 2 agencies that I knew about, and one started clamoring over like, what? You got a building? I got people I got to place immediately. And it was like, you're working on it? I was like, yeah, we would finish. You know, we just got started. It was like, look, here's 20 first month's rents and deposits. Here you go. And we worked out a number, and that was it, man. I was like, hey, man, I got this thing leased. And as soon as you finish the other 20, they'll rip the other ones. And so I had 8 tenants. And then the rest were all through this agency, man. And it was awesome. We was cash flowing in less than 6 months.
Unbelievable. So you bought it at a really good price, and then you had to put about 200 into it to get each unit up to par. And so you've got Nate, who's in charge of the construction management. So he managed that. And then the most important part is, all right, we got to get people in these units. And so how did you build this strategic relationship with this agency who had all these tenants that needed a place to live, and how did you make that work?
Well, so unlike most people, I didn't start off in the great neighborhoods. I did what we say, I get in where I fit in, right? So I knew certain neighborhoods, but I knew at the time, internet wasn't big. People were using on Craigslist.
Yeah.
And it was what you would call guerrilla marketing, hands-on. So literally, I would go to all the neighborhoods and put the little tear-off sheets. That's where I got my most leads. I would put them in all the stores, all the bars everybody went to in that neighborhood, and the phone just started ringing. And I got that leased up. But I knew I wasn't going to get anybody with Section 8 or subsidies over there, because if you had a subsidy, you were trying to get away from there. You know, that was more subsidized housing where the HAP was tied to the building. But if you had a voucher, you wasn't staying over there. So that's why that's why we went to use these that's why we went to reach out to agencies. And I knew they had doing that. And elderly, age, homeless shelters. Like I did everything, and but you'll learn how to analyze or really track the tenant to see if they're worthy of staying over there. Because you could go to one of those behavior programs, which I have for a building before, but if you say you get a B type or a level 2 person, man, you in trouble, right? That means they got medical problems, alcohol, drugs, and violent behavior. And so, yeah, they'll pay your rent, but they're going to tear your place up, and they might tear you up.
100%. So it's kind of a trick to find the right tenant, but a tenant that's also going to take care of the place, because you guys put a lot of money into it to make it beautiful. And then what was the exit strategy? Initially, you were thinking in and out, we're going to flip this thing, but then you went long term, and you said you were cash flowing in 6 months after fixing it up, which is remarkable. So in the first year, you were already net positive then.
Yeah, we were already to the good. I mean, the goal was really to just keep it in cash flow. We were guys that like cash flow. I wasn't really big into flipping. I'm not saying I don't flip. I still flip today, but I don't like to flip as much. What I do like to do is I buy properties based on, hey, I don't mind if I have to keep it because I can rent it in cash flow. But if I don't want it, I got it low enough, I can wholesale it. If not, I can fix it up and keep it for a while and still sell it and still make a profit, And so that's, it's just always having options, man. Whoever's got the most options, they win, man. And that was the key in our real estate business, making sure we have plenty of options. And so we really were looking to keep this because, first of all, this was before I started doing what they call the CCIM, Certified Commercial Investment Member. This is where they teach you to analyze multi-million-dollar deals or billion-dollar deals, whether commercial, retail, office, apartment, portfolio houses. They teach you how to analyze all those things. And it wasn't till then I really understood the value of cash flow and putting the cap rates. Because back then, I was just doing deals like, this makes sense. I can make this much money. I'll take that. It covers the mortgage. It covers these. Done. That was it. That was my internal math.
So Michael, tell me about cap rates on this particular deal. And for our audience that are, maybe not aware, cap rates is kind of the return that you can generate on an investment property like this. So this was a 48 unit building that you guys took down, made beautiful, got it fully rented out. It's cash flowing, making a ton of money for 6 years. And then you ended up selling it. How much did you sell it for? In terms of how much?
We sold it for 1.6. And 1.6, 1.65. And we gave the seller $100,000 credit. So basically we cleared 1.5.
So cleared 1.5. Wow.
1.5. So, and when it was all said and done, that was the gross sale. And we netted a clear $1 million. That was my first deal. I netted a straight $1 million.
Dang.
And I was like, ooh,
seven figures on one deal. That's outstanding work. But not only that, like you guys were cash flowing, you had tax benefits. So what was your first investment? Did you start out with single families? How did you get into multi-unit?
Yeah, so it was progression. I started off with single family house. My first house was a 2-family. It was a house hack, but they didn't call it back then. Back then, they just called it getting a roommate, man. So I knew that I wanted to get a multi-unit. And really my goal was never really to get here. I had no idea. I was thinking I was going to do concerts and parties all my life. I was going to party all over and be this rock star and have kids and name them Seven and Star and Heaven, and everything, right?
Yeah.
And but I got a 2-family, and I rented it out, and I got my sister to live there. I didn't even know how to paint. Like, I didn't know how to paint. I didn't know how to do carpet. And I got somebody to paint it. I got it carpeted, and then I rented it upstairs. And then I got me a roommate, so I was bringing in $700 a month. My mortgage was $700 a month, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm living rent free. This is the bomb. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. And then I was like, well, if that's easy, let's do it again. And so then I bought me 2 4-families that were side by side, and that was easy. I was like, let's do it again. But I did it a couple of times. But one thing I didn't do right, I did that old Carlton Sheets back in the day, which I appreciate Carlton Sheets. He was the man, but he was the king of over leveraging. If you don't know about over leveraging,
Oh, well, I know all about it, man. It's not where you want to be.
So yeah.
So what was the goal in terms of cap rates with some of these property? What was kind of the percentage what can I make?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we first bought it, we knew we would look at nothing unless we could buy, at least at a 13 cap.
Unbelievable.
And I know some people like, that's crazy. And to let people know what that means. If you buy it at a 13 cap, what that means is you can buy it, and if you paid all cash, that means for all cash, you should make 13% on your money. So, and so where we were at, stuff was selling for at least a 10 or 12 cap. But I bought that, I don't even know what cap rate. I don't even know if a cap rate even applied. And so we bought that, and over the period of time, the cap rates began to drop. It was a 10 cap. Things were selling at 10 caps then. Then it started getting to a 9 cap. And when it started to get to 9 cap, we was like, man, we got to sell. Like, there's no way it's going to get any lower than this. Then it dropped to 8 cap. No, it dropped to 8.5. It's like, we got to go. Then it was 8. Then it got to 7.5. I think we sold at a 7.5 cap. Yeah, somewhere around there. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. And for something that me and my partners really originally thought was only worth, what, 700, 800,000. Once we learned values and cash flow and cap rates, we figured out what our worth was, man. And that's so symbolic of life, man. Sometimes you don't know what you have, man, until somebody tells you. You spending all your money trying to buy all these things, but everything you bought already came with your ticket.
Amen. So Michael, how did you achieve all of this? Did you have mentors along the way? Was it, starting with the Carlton Sheets course? What was the progression to where you were able to learn all this, or was it kind of just step by step? You kind of learned by experience. What was that process like?
All of the above. Now, I really didn't have a per se mentor, but what really did it for me, back in high school, I read Robert Allen, No Money Down, in the 80s or the 90s.
Oh yeah, man, I remember those. I bought all of them.
Yeah. I was like, what? And then I'll never forget, this guy was traveling in different cities with $100 to his name and putting properties under contract left and right and doing no money down deals. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then I watched Carlton Sheets. But then as I began to grow, I just from a distance watched other people. I watched this one low-income tax group in Cincinnati, which is one of the largest. At the time, they probably had 3,500 low-income tax properties. And I actually ended up becoming a broker with them. And from there, I learned a lot, just watching how they manage, what their inefficiencies were, but how I could put my personal touch to it, because I'm mom and pop. I wasn't this kind of corporate group that's growing and puts all these bottlenecks in there So, it stops you from doing simple things. And, just taking it one deal at a time. And then I surrounded myself by people who were doing what I love. Like Moeller McGraw, they call K&K, they local in Cincinnati. I started hanging with these guys. I mean, they were flipping houses. They were flipping 20 houses a month at minimum $7,000 a pop. I mean, they were literally making a minimum $100,000 a month. And I was like, and so they were my plugs, man. I was getting all my deals from them.
Good stuff. And now I understand, Michael, that you not only obviously are a huge real estate investor and everything from multifamily to apartments, hotels, etc., but now you also kind of teach real estate investors. How do you go about teaching them, and what does that process look like?
Oh man, teaching is something that's just secondhand nature. I mean, quite frankly, I think that's really what I do best. Teaching is in my blood. My mom, my brother, my sisters, my uncles are all teachers. And then my uncles, even my dad, my grandpa, they were all ministers. So that's all I knew. But I was like, I can't make a living off of $24,000 a year. So therefore, the entrepreneurship. And but now we have a great class, the mastermind group, where it's different levels. You can get our book From Broke to Millions. You go to FromBrokeToMillions.com, where I share my story of how I went from literally broke. They called me 4 flats. Like every morning I wake up and go to my car and literally I have 4 flat tires. And I had to finagle to get into a gas station every morning to pump the air in the tires. And some of you were like, well, why didn't you just buy some tires? Didn't you hear I was broke?
Tires are expensive.
I didn't have no money. Yeah, so we've got Broke to Millions. And then also I have a master class, which we call Big Deal Hacking. I share kind of modules online. And we have a Facebook coaching group where you can learn the basics of apartment investing secrets, how to invest, how to raise capital, how to analyze deals, how to analyze apartments, how to analyze hotels, how to communicate with an investor, how to find the good in the deal. And then you're like, man, this is great, but I want to learn more. I really want to move forward. Then you join our master class where we kind of take you hands-on and get you going to our deal. And man, it's just been a lot of success for my students. I mean, these people were afraid to ask money. And who wouldn't, man? Like I mean, it's just not natural to walk up to somebody like, hey, give me $1 million, We teach you how to raise capital. I had multiple people now that thought 20,000 was a lot of money, and on their first call, they raised 200,000. I had some that raised even 6 million on just posting on LinkedIn. So a lot of great things. We teach you the details. It's just a matter up to you to put the work in. You put the work in, it'll get done. Now, hey, it may not happen your first year, may not your second year, but it'll get done.
Unbelievable. And so a big part of that, like you said, is raising money and gaining the confidence of investors. And it seems like that's something that you guys have been really good at. What has been the key to generating investment capital from investors so you guys can take down these big projects? Because from what I understand, you guys are taking down some massive projects in the hospitality hotel arena. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, we've taken down about 3 or 4 hotels in the last year and a half, 2 years, and the goal to buy much more. We've partnered with a few hedge funds, and so we got plenty of capital to go put these deals together. So we're excited about that. But the trick, the goal is, one, making sure you have the experience and track record. And if you don't, leverage other people's experience. Just like you leverage money, leverage other people's experience. So partner. I really wanted to do hotels, but I could not kick that door in. As soon as I got me the right operator that's been doing hotels for a year, years, over 30 years, I had, and then I partnered with somebody that had a large net worth that signed debt for me. That was I met through my partners through the hotel group. I was off to the races, man, and I just leveraged that. And so when you're raising capital, when they see you have a great team, they see that you can perform. Next thing you know is make sure your goals are in a line. That's the key. Because I just don't take anybody money, and nor should you, because you're not going to be able to, produce for their expectations. And if you don't have the same goals, you're going to be out of line. And the bottom line, you'll be out of line. So you got to make sure your goals are in line together. And with that, you can have harmony there, because when somebody's giving you money, you're going to be with them for, it could be a year, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years. And you just created this, not just relationship, but a marriage. And, in deals, things go wrong. You don't always get a distribution check every month. And people got to trust that, hey, you're putting it together and that you'll produce it and make even more money for them. So if your guys are in line, your expected returns, I think that creates the great, perfect relationship with investors and developers. Real estate investors can create some amazing projects and create long-lasting relationships.
Wow, you guys, Michael just dropped a bunch of value bombs. Let's unpack those real quick. First, he said, you got to have a track record. If you can have a track record, then people can trust that and they'll invest in you. If you don't have the track record, then go partner up with somebody who does and bring people together, bring the deal and the investor together. And then once you have those things, money will come, but make sure it's the right money, because not all money's good money. Make sure that you're aligned, your goals, the vision, that everyone's going to work together. And as Michael just very clearly pointed out, in life, you're going to find bumps in the road. You're going to find problems and obstacles. And so there's got to be a commitment that you're working together with your team and your investors to make those things happen. Unbelievable. So Michael, how can the audience connect with you and get involved and go through your programs so that they can learn to invest and, create a journey like you have?
Oh man, it's easy. Just go to Nassau Invest, NASSAU Invest, INVESTS.com. And look, if you want to be an investor, you click Let's Talk, and you just fill out these documents. You can fill out a document or send us an email, and we'll set you up for a call. If you want to learn more about investing and, taking classes, or just a one-on-one consultant, do NassauInvest.com/strategy. We'll set up a free 30-minute call and talk about your goals and where you're trying to go and what's your expectation. And man, hell, look, if you take our class, great. If you become an investor, great. But most of all, we're here for you. We talk to people that never did anything with us, and we saved them from doing bad deals. I was like, look, man, hey, that's okay. Look, I'm sorry, but that's dumb. Don't ever do that deal. Save the money, bro, or give it to me. I'll just buy me a brand new car. Okay.
Seriously, some of the best investments you make are the ones you don't make, you guys. And
there
so
you go, man.
Learning how to know what's a good deal and what's not, so valuable. And that's why you've got to have a mentor. You've got to have people who've already been down that path and learn from them, because it's so much less expensive than learning through the school of hard knocks. And as you go through the website here, again, it's NassauInvest.com, NassauInvest.com. And you can literally actually talk, with Michael and his team and find deals and go through his program, his mastermind, just unbelievable projects. And he's got actual case studies on his website that you can learn from. And the interesting thing that I'm actually surprised by, Michael, is we all know in the last year that hotels and hospitality have kind of taken a hit. but it looks like you're very, when everyone else is running away, that there's opportunities there.
That's right.
And there's something that you're seeing. What are some of those opportunities you're seeing in that space right now?
Man, it's been great. So I kind of experienced this before in the Great Recession. So in the Great Recession, the mortgage crisis, 2008, 2009, before that, I lost everything. And so I learned how to do short sales. I learned how to do mortgage notes. And so through that process, I learned through great depressions, great issues, there's a lot of opportunities. So when the Great Recession came, I was like, we're about to kill it, man. Like you stuff that normally sells for 90 or 100,000 was selling for 20,000. So we start buying mortgage notes. We start buying bulk properties. And that's when I became stabilized. And so when COVID hit, I knew it'd be the same thing. I knew the hotel market would fall. I didn't think it was going to fall as bad as it did, but I knew it would fall. We really thought hotels, apartments, and single families would sink. I think a lot of people did. But our government and banks were a lot smarter. They didn't panic. They didn't start selling off notes. They actually called and start working it out with people and readjusting their loans. And so because of that, that was helpful. But I said, I knew the hotels were going to take a hit, which they did. But now, as I projected, by March, these hotels are back up and running. Their weekends are there. Now, the hotels that deal with a lot of business travel, they're still struggling to put heads in beds from like Monday to Wednesday, but their Thursdays are picking up. But their Fridays and Saturday, they're back to that 70, 80% occupancy. The ADR, for those who don't know that, that's the average daily rate, your daily rate that you're charging, or to some in apartments, it's like your monthly rate, but broken down to daily. And because of that, the rates are low. So there's still some opportunities, but the hotels have been kind of holding tight to their numbers. But I told you I started buying mortgage notes. So we hooked up with some hedge funds, and now they're willing to buy notes. And what's the funny thing is, I knew hedge funds wanted to write a minimum of a $5 million check. And so when I told them, look, I just want to cherry pick where we come in, we assume the debt, or we bring these notes current, like a option 2 or loan 2, assumption 2. And it was like, yeah, that's great, but I'd rather write a $20 million, $30 million check. And I was like, well, I can, but I need to put 5 properties together and you can write that $20 million. Yeah, I mean, I like the concept and this is great, but I really want to write a 20 million. So then I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. So then when I said, hey, let's buy the whole note in cash, now they were more excited. I like, this is crazy. So 2 things here. Quit thinking small, because somebody's always wants to do something bigger. Yep.
Wow, unbelievable. So yeah, think big, you guys. And then once you start getting that track record, now all of a sudden you'll find people coming your way that, 5 million is kind of small, Michael. I'd appreciate 20 to 25 million. And now you can start taking down some of those bigger projects, you guys. So unbelievable value from Michael today of Nassau Investments. Again, that's NASSAU Invests, INVESTS.com. Go through the case studies, learn about multifamily. There's massive opportunity right now with hotels. And obviously they're starting to really heat up. So there's a lot of opportunity, but get the knowledge and work with someone like Michael so that you can succeed and avoid going through those painful mistakes. Michael, awesome stuff today. Anywhere else that our audience should connect with you other than that website?
They catch me there, but look, man, you always catch me on LinkedIn, Mike Ealy. Type in Cincinnati, and then I'm on Instagram. What's that? Mike Ealy Nassau. So hey, man, just type Mike Ealy Nassau. We're everywhere, baby.
Perfect. Mike Ealy, Instagram, LinkedIn. You guys connect up with Michael and his team, and that's how you succeed. And there's so many opportunities right now within real estate. but you've got to do it in a niche. And that's what Michael's done. He's dominated that multifamily and hotel niche. And so if you want in, you got to go check out his website. Michael, thank you so much for being a guest.
So much for having me, man. Pleasure being on here. And, our goal is, man, to teach, to educate them and so they can also piece of these opportunities that they felt that wasn't there for them. Or you want to learn multi-units or hotel, we're here for you guys.
Amen. Thank you, Michael.